Old Mother Hubbard's cupboard may have been bare, but I imagine that yours is not. So let's talk about pantry design. There are four basic types of pantry: a simple, straight closet style, the corner type, a cabinetry pantry, and a walk-in pantry. When we design a pantry, we'll ask an awful lot of questions. Why? Well, we want to help you to determine a hierarchy of importance for your pantry items. Are you storing small appliances, food staples, canned foods, perhaps canisters of flour and sugar? Do you do a lot of baking? If so, it may make more sense to place these items into a dedicated single cabinet with all of your other baking products rather than integrating them into your main pantry. Maybe a stand mixer or air fryer or slow cooker. How often do you use them? Are you taking up valuable countertop space in your kitchen by having these things sitting out? Unless you're lucky enough to have almost unlimited countertop space, it's not always useful to do that. Do you have a lot of canned food? Do you buy bulk spices or several different types of oil? Maybe you bought a deep fryer that you used once in 3 years. Do you really need to dedicate pantry space to that? Or can it be donated or perhaps stored elsewhere? Go through your kitchen and open each cabinet. Remove the things that you'd like to place in your new pantry. Put them all together on a table or perhaps a long counter and edit them. Discard the items that are expired or no longer used. For our imaginary closet style pantry, we're going to be looking at one for someone that requires a lot of storage. Here's an image of the pantry of a house in Texas that we did some years ago. One of the biggest problems with standard pantry in most builder homes is the way that the shelves are being set up. They're often too deep and too far apart. This is how you end up with a can of tomato sauce that's 3 or 4 years old and buying 4 or 5 jars of mustard. Let's start out with a list of items that are going to be placed in this straight, simple pantry. This is an actual list from a client a year ago. Compile yours, get a legal pad and a measuring tape ready, and let's get started. For reference, our sample pantry is 72 inches wide. It's 24 inches deep with a 60-inch bifold door. We'll be working from the bottom to the top, thinking about the weight of the items, their size, and how easy it needs to be to retrieve or access them. The largest and heaviest of these things are going to be the cases of drinks, as well as the 25-pound Ziploc bag of rice. They had been keeping it in the container in which it's sold or dividing it up into multiple small containers. So let's transfer that rice to a special container of its own. A rolling airtight container will allow it to then be placed on the floor. For our first shelf, this will be a straight shelf that runs only along the back wall of the pantry. How big should it be? Where does it go? Well, a case of water is on average 8 inches tall. So 2 cases will be 16 inches. So we'll be in good shape there because the rolling cart for the rice is 19.5 inches tall. So let's place our first shelf at 22 inches above the finished floor. This shelf is not going to be the full depth of the pantry, so you don't have to worry about being able to fit your hand in to reach the cases of drinks or the rolling bin. The first shelf that we place in the pantry is going to become home to the small appliances that are not used on a daily basis. The air fryer, the stand mixer, and the pressure cooker will all live here. This will also become the place for wire baskets to store the potatoes, the onions, and the garlic. The mixer is the tallest of these appliances at 14.5 inches tall and 14 inches deep. Our next shelf will be placed 16 inches above the first one. That gives us plenty of clearance for the mixer. This first shelf will be 18 inches deep, which is a good depth for the other appliances and the baskets as well. It's going to run straight across the back wall. This first shelf is going to be 18 inches deep which is a good depth for the other appliances and the baskets as well. It's only going to run straight across the back wall. For our second shelf, we're going to come up from the first shelf, and this is going to be used for a number of storage containers. We like the ones from OXO, but any type that are clear, rectilinear, and stack easily will work just fine. These are great for storing things like dried pasta, cereals, flour, and beans. Additionally, if you have like items, for instance, light brown sugar, dark brown sugar, molasses sugar, you can keep those in the original store bags and place all of them into a single labeled container. These containers, again, are airtight and great for uses like chips and crackers, which then allow you to see how much do I have and when do I need to replenish the supply. The 6-quart container is 6.5 inches square and 13 inches tall. Using all the same brand of container means that they're modular and they should stack easily. This is where a label maker becomes a great tool. As a sidebar, I can never remember the recipe for buttercream frosting, so we keep it taped to the back of the confectioner's sugar container. If an item has an expiration date, you can attach it to the back in the same way. Stacking things too deep buries them. So we're going to make the shelves for these containers 7 inches deep. We'll place the shelves on the back and side walls of the pantry. This will give us space for 16 of these 6.5 quart containers. Since they're 13 inches tall, let's give ourselves 14 inches of clearance. You're not accessing these from the top, but rather gripping them from the sides, so 14 inches is plenty of room to be able to lift the container and remove it from the shelf. Next up, a place for our cans and jars and small boxes. 6 inches is a typical maximum height for most cans and jars, but to be safe, we will add a second shelf with 7 inches of clearance. We put the 6-inch shelf first so that the next shelf is as low as possible, making it easier to reach things that you place there. Above this, you will place your final shelf. These last shelves should be 6 inches deep. If you use this logic for building and organizing this simple pantry, you can make storing and stocking your pantry items so much easier and more efficient. Careful planning will make this a very functional pantry at a very small cost. The project could be done easily over a weekend, or you can provide this as a detail to your home builder. If you're interested on tips on how you could do something like this over a weekend, let me know in the comments and I'll follow up in a future video with details. The planning is the biggest challenge, but if you have a legal pad and a tape measure, there's no reason for you to fear it. Remember, good design should never be exclusionary. Good luck, and let me know how I can help.